Hi, everyone. Hello, Creative Commuter. How are you this week? I myself needed a handful of good reminders this week, and I wondered if some of those reminders that I needed, others might need to hear as well. So I'm just going to share some of where I've been at this week and see maybe this will resonate with that one person who hears this. So I definitely wanted to share a couple of things. And one of those is a reminder to rest when you need it. In fact, I'm taking this week off of our regularly scheduled things that we do in the Creative Commute community. We aren't doing a theme this week or anything like that. That doesn't mean that we won't do some fun creative sharing or anything in there, but I just needed just a moment to just have a weekend where we weren't focused on coming up with what are some of the things going to be that we are doing and to just stop and rest and honestly enjoy. And I needed somebody to remind me of the importance of that. And actually, multiple people have come forward and said things like, wow, I really appreciate that you're doing that. It was a good reminder for myself. My own husband was saying, yes, this is good that we are resting and taking some time for this. And it just was the affirmation that I've received is just such, it was probably what I needed to hear, but I also wondered if others might need to hear some of that too. So I did just want to share, stopping and resting and recognizing that you might need some rest is not weak, and it's not going to stop your forward progress. In fact, it reminds me of, I go back to the metaphor of running a lot because it's something that I know and it's something that I've been through. But sometimes when you're running, if you stop and walk and just take a breather for a second, you actually end up running overall faster than you would have if you didn't take that break at all. And so, wherever you are at right now, it's okay if you need to stop and take a break. It is totally okay to do that. And in fact, in doing that, it might allow you to take a breather and step back and look at how far you have actually come. Take a second to recognize where you're at, what you've been through, what you've faced, and where you are. We have all been through probably probably the hardest year of your life. It's possible that you've had worse. But for many of us, this has literally been the hardest year of our lifetimes. And it's okay to stop and really recognize I've been through a lot of crap and I'm still standing on my 2 feet. No matter what your year was like, all of us have had different trials over this past year, but we've all come through a boatload of stuff. And so take a second to even I know it's been a hard year of where celebration even feels kind of weird and there's some guilt sometimes around celebrating, but take some time to celebrate it. And in fact, that's actually what my husband Joey and I are doing this week is taking time to actually celebrate. Wow. Like we have actually accomplished so many things over this past year. And yes, it hasn't been what we thought it would be. It hasn't been a lot of the things that we wanted to happen, weren't able to happen. We still can't do a lot of the things that we really want to be doing. We can't spend time with the people who we really want to spend time with. But look at all of the things that have happened. And we're really going to celebrate the things that we have made happen. So I invite you actually to take that moment for yourself to do a little bit of the same. And my friend Rachel, who has been on the podcast in the past, if you haven't listened to that episode, it was one of the very first episodes with Rachel Chamley. She is the one who said, Jen, stop and literally celebrate the things that have happened in your life. And I think I needed somebody to just wake me up and give me a little shake and say, just live in the moment for just a second. Just stop and really, really celebrate that. And it makes me wonder, if I needed to hear that, how many other people need to hear this exact same message. Look how far you've come. Look, truly, truly look how far you've come. And look at that in a way like, if this was your friend who had made it through all of the things that you've made it through this year, what would you say to them? And say that to yourself. Say that to yourself. Look how far you've come. I actually created a little mantra corner on the edge of my desk that I'm going to look at every day that has a series of mantras on it. But I'm going to tell you two of the big ones that are really, really strong right now. And I've actually shared one of these before, but I added to it because I feel like I needed something to kind of round out this mantra. So one of them is, I am working toward the life of my dreams. I am working toward the life of my dreams. And the second one, this is a 1-2 punch. The second one is, I find power and joy in my work. So I am working toward the life of my dreams, and I find power and joy in my work. And I feel like these two mantras work together in a really, really powerful way, because I am working toward the life of my dreams. I can get so caught up in doing the work, can get so dang caught up in work, and that work, I'm middle class, like I've got that ingrained in me that work has to be hard, that in order to get to my dreams, I've got to work so damn hard to the bone until my knuckles are bleeding. I've got to work that hard. But that's not true. It's not true. And that's why I have the second mantra of, I find power and joy in my work, because the work itself can be joyful. The work itself can be full of joy. It can be fun. The work to get to the life of my dreams can be fun, and it doesn't have to be so dang hard. I can stop and take a break and rest when I need to, and so can you. So if those two mantras resonate with you, I would love I would love to hear if they do. You can email me at creativecommutegen@gmail.com and let me know if those resonate with you. In fact, actually, I did want to also let you all know that I found out that it is not actually easy to leave a review on a podcast. I've asked you all to leave reviews in every episode, and somebody said to me the other day, I don't know how to leave a review. And so I found an easier way. You can go to ratethispodcast.com/creative commute and leave a review right now. It makes it much easier. It tells you the places you can go. So ratethispodcast.com/creative commute. Let me know if anything in this episode resonates with you, but you can also email me or DM me and let me know too. So, I feel like these two mantras that I've shared are a really powerful 1-2 punch that work together to remind me of how important it is to enjoy the present, but also that the present is getting me to where I ultimately want to go. But that also requires my word of the year, which is trust. Trust that if you are doing the work and listening to things and reflecting, that, and actually listening to this podcast for you does indeed count as the work. Listening to a podcast that you enjoy that is helping you to do some self-reflection is totally, totally doing the work. And me sitting here sharing this podcast with you, which I so enjoy, this is joy, this is power for me, is doing the work. Doing things that you enjoy totally are. It is doing the work. But you have to trust. You have to trust that this kind of joyful work is going to get you to where you want to go. It's going to get you to the dream. So I still have a ton to discover about myself. And we all do, right? You do too. We all do, no matter where we are on our journeys. But I'm definitely these days way more in tune with what lights me up inside than I ever have been before, with what does bring me that joy and what does make me feel good and powerful and can be the work that can get me to the life of my dreams. And I want this for you too. That's why I have this podcast, and it's why I'm showing up every week with an episode. I'm so stinking passionate about getting more people on their own personal journey of whatever this discovery will do for you. And it's so important for us to know what we like, what we enjoy, and what the heck makes us feel good. I can't harp on this enough. It is what makes you feel good. That is what it is all about. Because if you feel good, if you're enjoying life, if you're enjoying whatever your work is for you, it spreads. It spreads, and it spreads just as fast as all of the negativity can if more and more of us are doing it. But for many of us, that is a big switch that needs to be turned. For so long, we've been doing things based on what others want for us, not necessarily what we want for ourselves. We're reacting to the reactions of others, doing for others, trying to please others, trying to impress others, maybe even trying to impress ourselves, and not necessarily leaning into the things that we love. How much, this is a serious question. This is a question that I sat with for the better part of the last year. How much of what you are doing is to please or impress other people? Really, really think about that. I hope you're like, not that much. Like, why is this even a big deal? If so, that is so awesome, but not for me. I've been living most of my life for other people, and a lot of us do. You know, as I started to uncover this for myself, I realized something really, really, really weird actually about this. I'm doing all of this stuff to impress others, but nobody was asking me to do this. Nobody was intentionally asking me to do things for them or to care so much about what they think about things. Nobody was asking that of me, but I was doing it anyway. Isn't that kind of weird? But okay, there are those people in your life that will like push and jab at you, and even when you've made your desires like so stinking clear, they're going to just try to push you to do the things that they want you to do. Like everybody's got that aunt that's like, well, don't you think you should, whatever. I actually have never had any of those aunts, but everybody's got somebody in their life. But rather than getting worked up when they prod at you, maybe just take a moment to reflect on it. Like, are you avoiding something that's maybe a little bit kind of scary? Or is it a place where you could grow, but you're a little bit fearful of it? If that's the case, then that person is seriously just trying to help you. And a lot of times people are coming from like a well meaning place. And maybe in that moment of reflection, it's like, maybe I actually could listen to this, but maybe you don't listen at all. Maybe what they're suggesting, you're like, that's not actually what I want right now. Thanks, but no thanks. So whenever something comes up, whenever somebody's kind of poking at you, suggesting something, or if you feel like what they're saying, it kind of gives you a moment of pause, just do a little bit of logical recognition on the situation and see what's really coming up for me in this moment. I personally want to live more true to myself, which means that I really don't want the pressure of other people and what other people want to bother me as much anymore. But whether you've recognized it as one or not, 2020 really did give every single one of us one huge gift. And that gift is honestly a license to do whatever feels comfortable for you. What feels comfortable for you. A year ago, somebody guilting me for not attending an event probably would have just like dug at my soul. Despite my reasoning for not wanting to attend, I probably would have said yes. I would have added one more thing to my plate. I would have denied my personal desires and comfort, trading my own self-care for the will of somebody else. Honestly, I would have. But I remember it was last January, I got this book by Sarah Knight called The Life-Changing Magic of Not Giving a Fuck. And in this book, Sarah talks about this idea of placing boundaries for yourself. It's her whole book. It's kind of basically like Marie Kondoing your life decisions and really taking stock of what do I want out of life. Will doing this thing spark joy? If yes, then you do it. Hell yes. If not, then fuck it. These are her words. But that's her whole concept. And when I first read this book, I was like, gosh, she's kind of rude. Like she's being rude. That was my instant reaction to her setting really clear boundaries. Like she had this one that really hit me. She has this ultimatum about she does not attend baby showers. She absolutely does not. Does not matter who invites her to one. She just does not. She literally will not attend a baby shower. And when I read this, my first thought was, dang, that is kind of freaking rude. Like, what? You're not going to attend like your best friend's baby shower? But a year and a half after reading this book, now I better understand what she's getting at. You know, what is your baby shower? What is the thing that you really don't want to do? You don't really enjoy doing? It doesn't spark joy for you, but you're doing it in your life anyway because somebody else wants you to do it. Stop doing that thing. Stop doing that thing. Just stop. I need to hear this as much as anybody. Now, you don't have to be a jackwagon. And even in Sarah Knight's book, she talks about how, family is totally different. Like when it comes to family, there's probably going to be some things that you do anyway, and you do it out of love, but you also have to set those very clear boundaries. If this is like draining you and not good for you, then stop doing it. And also, there are plenty of ways these days to send a baby shower gift without actually attending. So it's like, if something doesn't spark joy for you, is there a way that you can still show your love and appreciation for something without doing the thing that really drains you and that you don't enjoy, that doesn't spark joy for you? So there's so much outside societal pressure on us. There's a ton of it. It's kind of shifted, I think, in the last year, but actually think about this. How much of that societal pressure is actually kind of learned behaviors that we're inflicting on ourselves? That it's not even sometimes actually anybody putting their thumb on you, but we're putting our thumbs on ourselves because we think things need to be a certain way. And we're probably not even giving conscious thought to what we're doing. We're just doing it because it feels like the right thing to do because that's just what we've learned. But this is why self-reflection is so important and why I'll probably spend the second half of my life talking about how important self-reflection is. I'm just going to harp on this for like 50 more years. I'll probably like holler about it from my hospice bed and then like come back to haunt people. I'll probably like show up in somebody's tomato soup as like a ghostly face, like self-reflect. Maybe I'll be like imprinted on somebody's grilled cheese sandwich. Anyway, it's so important. The change happens inside of ourselves. And the change happens inside of ourselves when we stop to recognize some of the things that we're doing that don't bring us joy, that don't spark that for us. Us middle class people have some really, really ingrained beliefs about hard work, about wealth, about what it means to be a person who has wealth. I'm not going to dig much into that topic today, except that to say that there are some nasty things for us to work through there if you're one of these people, which I am. What I want to talk about today is what genuinely feels right for you, not what someone else expects of you, finding that real, true trust in yourself to know and to trust what you really love. So, how do you do that? I'm actually going to come back to something that I talked about in a previous episode back in season 1 of the podcast called Ikigai. Ikigai is a Japanese concept that roughly translates to a reason for being. The translation, like many, Japanese to English, it does not translate like totally correctly. So there's other interpretations of it. Another interpretation is the thing that you live for, or I like this one, the reason for which you get up in the morning. So, knowing or at least exploring your ikigai, your reason for being here on this planet, your reason for getting up in the morning is so stinking important to everything, literally everything. It is rooted in who you are at your very, very core. And it is what can lead you and guide you in so many of your life decisions. I'm going to break down what really stands out to me personally about this concept. There's actually like a Western slash business interpretation of Ikigai. And I really connect more personally with the more soul centered version, but I'm going to share both of them with you because I think that you, depending who you are and where you're at, you can probably get a little bit of something different out of this. But the entire idea for this podcast, the entire idea for the Creative Commute Facebook group that I started last March is completely the result of me exploring my Ikigai. I asked myself the questions that help to lead you to that over and over and over for weeks on end. It was actually, I think I had heard of Ikigai like back in 2019 and it kind of struck me and I was like, huh. But I really, at the beginning of 2020, I was asking myself this question nearly every single day. So think of Ikigai like a triangle. On one side is what do I love? What do I love? Another piece of the triangle is what am I good at? And the third side is what does the world need? And inside this triangle, inside that sweet spot, that is your soul-centered purpose. That is your reason for getting up in the morning. It is your reason for being. 3 sides. What do you love? This is about finding out what you enjoy and what truly, truly makes you happy. What do you love? What do you enjoy? That's what we're talking about so much in this episode. But another really important side of this is what are you good at? This is about what doesn't seem like work to you. What could you do all day and totally lose track of time? But also, what do you love being challenged at? What do you love continuing to grow in? So, what do you love? What are you good at? And what does the world need? That's the third side. Here, this is where you see opportunity. This is where you can serve. So it's so important to have all 3 of those things. And that's where you can find your life purpose. I highly encourage you to really think about these 3 questions for yourself. Now, I'm going to give you this Western slash business side. If you look up Ikigai, you'll likely find this 4 ways. Sometimes you'll see it as a Venn diagram. Sometimes it's like a square or a diamond. You'll see it in all these different ways. I like the simple triangle, and I'll tell you why. But the 4th side is what can you be paid for? So now obviously you get to the business side of things. Where is the place where your skill set is so needed that people will pay you for it? And that's where you can really turn your Ikigai, the thing, your purpose, into something that actually brings money, that you can actually contribute to the world in a way. Now, the reason that I like to still think of it as a triangle is that I actually think that that fourth side is like a subset of what does the world need, right? What does the world need? Well, if they need it bad enough that they're willing to pay for it, then so I just think the triangle side of things simplifies it. But I do want to point out the whole part about being paid for it, because if you go and look this up online, you'll see a lot about that side. And in fact, if you look up Ikigai, there's actually a lot boiled down into this. So my little triangle is a total simplification of the concept, but I so look at it in whatever way makes the most sense for you. But this simple triangle to me is what really, really helped to guide me in the right direction. Again, it's the reason for this podcast. So I encourage you to write this down. What do I love? What am I good at? What does the world need? Really, really reflect on this. Come back to it every couple days. Keep thinking about what this really, really, truly means for you. See where this thought process takes you. It's really, really fascinating what started to become clear to me as I started to think about this. Things that I really thought I wanted to do started to fall away, whereas other things started to emerge and become really clear for me. So, a few more things about Ikigai that I think are important as you start to reflect on your own personal triangle. Your Ikigai should be challenging. It should lead you somehow to mastery and growth. Like, you should be challenged in whatever this thing is. It should be your choice. It really is about what feels good for you. No one else can tell you what your Ikigai is. Only you can know. It's also a commitment, reflection, discovery, belief, trust, all of these things takes time. It's not going to become clear overnight. And as you grow and change as a human, it's likely to change as well. So really important to know that it is a continual process of self-discovery, and committing to this is what is going to bring you closer to your purpose. It's going to bring you closer to your ultimate happiness. But it's work. It's work. And you're obviously committed to doing the work, or you wouldn't be listening to this podcast. So congratulations. But finally, your Ikigai should be a positive boost. When you're living in your purpose, you will feel more energy because it actually gives you more than it takes from you. So you should feel strengthened by the thing that you're doing. And if you start to feel like it should feel positive because it gives more than it takes. If you're burnout, something's off with your Ikigai. If you are burnt out, you are not living in your right purpose. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to blow up everything that you know and start from scratch. It might just be that you need to shift a little bit. Go back to the three sides of the triangle. What do I love? What am I good at? What does the world need? Something might have changed. Maybe what you love has shifted or changed a little bit. Maybe it just needs a little bit of tweaking. Or maybe you need a new challenge in your skill sets. Maybe you have improved to the point that you need to set the bar a little higher, or you need to do something just a little bit differently. Or maybe the world doesn't need what you're providing in the same way that it needed it before, but you're trying to force it. And that's causing you to work more and harder, and you're getting burnout. It could be any of those three things that are causing you to feel kind of off balance and leading you to this place of burnout. Y'all, that trust is my word of the year, and self-discovery takes some serious, serious trust. You have to trust that it is worth the time that you're spending to do it. Spoiler alert, it totally is. You have to trust that this discovery is going to lead you to something greater. You have to trust your inner voice. You have to trust the things that you love, that it's bringing you to a better place. And if you aren't familiar with your own inner voice, you have to trust that you can start to find it. And I think these 3 questions can lead you to that. Believe me, if I can crack my own shell, you can too. I am the biggest skeptic about all of this crap. In fact, I'm pretty sure I've called it crap in the past. My shell was about 6 feet thick, and it still is sometimes. Sometimes it starts to harden back up and I have to crack it all over again. But trust that this work is worth doing. Trust that it's going to lead you to the right things. And you'll be looking back a year from now and thanking yourself for starting right now, for shifting right now, for asking yourself these questions. There's a quote that I read from a book. I actually just bought this book. I haven't gotten it in the mail yet, but I'm excited to read it. But it is called The Courage to Be Happy. And the author of this book, Ichiro Kishimi, says, "Do not live to satisfy the expectations of others." Do not live to satisfy the expectations of others. Trust and believe in what makes you happy and the power that will bring to the world. Thank you for listening to this episode. It means everything to me that you would take the time today to listen. If you have any thoughts on this episode, go leave a review at ratethispodcast.com/creative commute or DM me anytime. I'm Chromatic Jen on Instagram with 2 N's because some other Chromatic Jen out there has got the 1 N version. Or you can come into the Creative Commute community on Facebook. I will see you next time. Until then, I trust that you are going to keep shining your magical, creative unicorn glitter all over the place. Bye.